Sharks may be known for their cunning and fearlessness in the business world, but even the most successful investors are not immune to failure. From product pitches gone wrong to deals gone sour, the Shark Tank stage has witnessed some of the biggest fails in the show's history. From entrepreneurs who couldn't explain their products to those who were asking for unrealistic valuations, these flops provide a cautionary tale for any aspiring entrepreneur. From a $100 million ask for a dating app to a pitch for a motorized cooler that left the sharks scratching their heads, these fails prove that the road to success is not always smooth. Join us as we take a dive into the Shark Tank's biggest fails and learn from the mistakes of others. Number 10. Trunkster. Trunkster, the smart suitcase with a heart of gold and a suitcase full of features, was on a mission to make travel a walk in the park. With a charging station, GPS system, digital scale, and removable batteries, it was a suitcase ready for anything. Gaston Blanchett and his traveling buddy Jesse Potash, who met on a trip, brought Trunkster to the show in Season 7 with the goal of raising $1.4 million for a 5% stake. Mark and Lori took a chance and put their money where their luggage was, with a $1.4 million investment for 15%, but unfortunately, the deal never took off. Despite $1.5 million in pre-orders on Kickstarter, Trunkster's journey was cut short as they struggled with manufacturing and ultimately went out of business. This left customers feeling like they got left at the baggage claim, and they started chatting about a class action lawsuit against the company. Number 9. Foot Fairy. Foot Fairy had all the makings of the next big trend in kids' fashion, tackling a problem that's all too often swept under the rug. When it comes to kids' shoes, parents are often left in the dark, leaving room for serious harm to come to little feet. Foot Fairy aimed to change that by creating a wizardry app that allowed parents to measure their kids' feet using just an iPad. This way, they could have a digital footprint of their kid's size when shopping for shoes. The plan was to partner with online shoe emporiums like Zappos and use the app as a promotion platform. But as we all know, an app is only as good as its developers. Unfortunately, Foot Fairy's founders, Silvio Shapiro and Nicole Brooks, had to bring in outside help to develop the app, and the magic just wasn't there. Even though they caught Mark Cuban's eye on Shark Tank, Foot Fairy's fairy tale came to an abrupt end just 6 short months later. Number 8. Hycon. The company behind the quick-connecting fire hydrant to garden hose adapter had Mark Cuban so fired up, he invested a cool $1.25 million and signed a 3-year employment contract. But like a hose left out in the sun, the deal wilted away. The founder, Jeff Stroop, spilled the tea on Facebook, blaming the investor's ego for affecting negotiations. He claimed that Mark Cuban started to change the deal, and it was all because of a disagreement over the design's licensing. While the business may have hit a rough patch, it's not completely extinguished. Hycon still has a professional version of the product and a home version, and they've shipped their product to customers. According to the Huffington Post, Hycon was worth $5 million in 2015, but by 2016, the product was nowhere to be found, and the company eventually went belly up. Number 7. You Smell Soap. After Megan Cummins, the luxury soap queen, and Robert Herjavec sealed the deal with a handshake, she tried reaching out to him for 6 long months, but to no avail. When Robert finally returned, he came with an offer that had gone down the drain: $50,000 for 50% of the company. Megan washed her hands of that deal. The Sharks are known for changing their offers after doing their due diligence, but a delay of 6 months with minimal communication is a big no-no for new companies that desperately need funding and are trying to keep up with the sudden demand from a TV appearance. A quick no is better than a slow maybe. Megan continued to run the luxury soap company with another investor who eventually bought the whole company. But it wasn't long before the company closed its doors. The question remains, would the story have had a different ending if Robert had acted more promptly? Even though it was one of many Shark Tank failures, this high-end soap company deserves some bubbles of respect. Number 6. Breathometer. The Sharks were all aboard the breathometer train and invested together, but boy did they regret it. The device promised to accurately measure blood alcohol levels, but failed to deliver, often giving false readings that could put people in danger. The Federal Trade Commission had to step in and put a stop to it, forcing the company to give full refunds and pull the product off the shelves. Mark Cuban dubbed it the worst flop in Shark Tank history and accused the founder of mismanaging funds. Despite the belly flop, Breathometer rose from the ashes and is now promoting their latest product, Mint. It's designed to sniff out bad breath and gum disease and has a partnership with Philips. Will it be a success? Only time will tell, but let's hope the sharks learned their lesson from the Breathometer blunder. Number 5. Beam. Oh, butter, how we love thee! And what's better than a pat of it? A spray of it, of course! Or at least that was the grand plan behind Beam, the butter-spritzing kitchen gadget. Doug Foreman walked into the Shark Tank, ready to grease the sharks' palms with a deal that involved $500,000 in exchange for a measly 5% equity. But the buttery presentation was so smooth, it managed to win over Lori Greiner, who was ready to invest, but with a catch: a higher equity of 14%. Despite the backing, Beam's fate was buttery brown and crisp. The final product couldn't live up to the prototype's sizzle, and the crowdsourced funding from Kickstarter only added to the heat. Kickstarter backers were left feeling like they had a mouthful of burnt toast, and the Better Business Bureau was bombarded with complaints. Beam had a chance to redeem itself with a new and improved version, but by then, even Greiner had jumped ship, leaving the company to sink like a stale biscuit. Number 4. Body Jack. The Body Jack was a push-up revolutionizer aiming to tone specific muscles with its fancy bands. Jack Behringer brought it to the Shark Tank, hoping to get funding from Barbara Corcoran, who had a condition. Jack had to shed 30 pounds to show that the Body Jack really worked. Jack did just that, and the deal was sealed. But it seems like the deal wasn't as sweet as it appeared to be. Barbara later disowned Body Jack as one of her worst investments, even claiming that Jack took all her money and ran away to start his own commerce company. Though, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, the Body Jack was available for sale again in 2015. But alas, by July 2021, the Body Jack seems to have breathed its last breath, and the reasons for its downfall remain a mystery. Despite that, we can still nominate the Body Jack for a spot in the Shark Tank Hall of Fame, or shame, whichever suits it best. Number 3. Sweet Balls. Sweet Balls, a cake ball company, hit the jackpot on Shark Tank's season premiere. Barbara Corcoran and Mark Cuban decided to join forces and invest a sweet $250,000. Talk about a sugar rush! But little did they know, this cakeball venture was about to turn into a disaster. James McDonald and Cole Egger, the dynamic duo behind Sweet Balls, got into a batter-filled legal brawl. McDonald accused Egger of starting a rival cakeball company called Cake Balls, and before you could say "I do," a restraining order was served. The drama was too much for Sweet Balls, and the website went offline faster than you could say Cake Ball, even redirecting to Cake Balls for a brief moment. But like a phoenix rising from the ashes, James McDonald emerged victorious and reclaimed ownership of the Sweet Balls website. Unfortunately, the damage had already been done, and Sweet Balls was no longer the rising star it once was. McDonald now only runs it as a side hustle, and we have to nominate it as one of Shark Tank's most forgettable failures. Number 2. Show No Towels. Shelley Eller and Lori Greiner had a rocky start to their partnership. According to Shelley, Lori warned her not to cash the investment check the next day, and then attempted to change the terms of the deal by demanding 70% of the company instead of 25%. When Shelley refused, Lori changed the deal to a loan that could only be used for sales and not for other expenses. Despite their differences, Shelley was grateful for the lessons learned and wrote in a blog post that Lori taught her more than she ever imagined, but not necessarily about business. Show No Towels had high hopes for big deals with Disney and Franco Manufacturing, but both fell through due to poor online sales and narrow profit margins. The company eventually dissolved due to disputes between Shelley and Lori and the failed transactions. Show No Towels is another addition to the list of Shark Tank failures. 3 years after Show No Towels closed its doors, Shelley is back in the game with a relaunch of the website. This time around, she's focusing on selling the towels primarily to people with disabilities, a market that Lori didn't see as big enough to pursue. Number 1. Toy Guru. Nikki Pope pitched Toy Guru to the Sharks, who were all smitten by her impressive pitch. She secured a deal, but it was not meant to be, as bad planning and unrealistic expectations spelled the downfall of this Netflix-inspired toy company. Despite trying to compete with other similar services, Toy Guru just couldn't stand out in a crowded market. Unfortunately for Pope, executing her vision proved too challenging, as production costs, manufacturing, and marketing were just too much to handle. The company eventually filed for bankruptcy, and Pope tossed in the towel, giving up on growing the brand. In the end, Toy Guru proved to be just another failed attempt at bringing a unique toy subscription service to life, much to the disappointment of viewers who showed interest in the product on social media. But hey, at least Pope has a good story to tell at dinner parties. All this means starting a business is like going on a wild adventure with a blindfold on. You never know what you're going to encounter, but the fun lies in the mystery. So if you get a little rejection or negative feedback along the way, don't be discouraged. Keep your chin up and your blindfold tight. You never know where it might lead you. The road to business success is often a bumpy one, but that's what makes the destination even sweeter. Just remember, if you're considering starting a business, there are a few important things to keep in mind, like bringing along a map, a compass, and a few snacks for the journey.